Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show here at your Tribal Pulse, Te Kore Mako o Taranaki, 94.8 and 98.4 FM. Well, whānau, we have a special guest today. She is a well-known figure on the coast and around the māunga, supporting our various marae, hapū, iwi and communities. However, she also has a long history and association with Māori Rugby Union right here in Taranaki. We're super excited to speak to her in the lead up to the Taranaki Māori Rugby Football Union 100th anniversary. Nau mai hara mai, Taranaki Māori Rugby Football Union Secretary Leanne Horo. Kia ora, Leanne.
Kia ora nāina, kia ora tātou. Lovely to be here.
Oh, ka pai, lovely to have you here too also, Leanne. Ko wai koe no he koe a bit about yourself and where you're from?
Oh, ka pai. Ko Leanne Horo tōku ingoa. No Taranaki iwi. Taranaki nui tonu Taranaki iwi, Naruhine, Ngāti Maru, Te Atiawa. So no te māunga. So I've been part of the Māori Rugby for 20 plus years. So leading into this 100 years, it's really exciting to have a kaupapa ora, tino kaupapa, for us to work towards and celebrate really what the legacy that our tupuna have left for us. Kia ora.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So you're talking about the kaupapa that's coming up. So what's obviously your role as secretary, but some of your mahi, and who are the key figures that are kind of still heavily involved with tribal rugby here in Taranaki and those behind the scenes helping prepare for the anniversary?
Oh, we've got quite a big group actually. Well, yeah, a big group. I don't know. It's a big group in the fact that there's a lot of mahi to do. So took us a chair. Ray Peters is the treasurer, and then we've got our wider group, which is Sarah Mako, Ngāpari Nui, Thomas Kātini, TK, John Hooker, Tioti Kātini, George, and Jim Turahoi. And I'm hoping I'm not leaving anybody out. Te Waiti Maraikura and Te Aorangi Dylan and Rachel Arnott and his sister Nicola. Like everybody's coming in at different phases. So that's what I mean. We've got a big crew that are coming together for this kaupapa.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. Takes a team effort to set up something like this, doesn't it? So awesome to see some really influential people in there too doing the mahi in the background. So now you and I had a little bit of a chat a few weeks back on Facebook, and I was intrigued by some of your memories and stories of our tribal rugby days here in Taranaki. So where did that journey begin for you?
Oh, so I was actually began in Wellington because that's where I grew up, and that's where my dad was chair of Wellington Māori Rugby. So my sister and I had to go in the booth and take the tickets, and that embarrassing thing as a young person. And then when I came home to live in Taranaki, everybody was because Taranaki rohe. Taranaki iwi rohe, so I live on the coast, so that's Taranaki tribal, and factories were really strong then. Milk, everybody worked at the dairy factory, and then they had their winter holidays, and that was sort of the time when everybody played rugby or played sport, which is predominantly rugby. We think about league, it's probably come through to Taranaki in the last 50 years, but yeah, so it's predominantly rugby, and then everybody would go to Saturday rugby because either the partner, the son, the moko, whatever it's playing, and then definitely everybody was on the buses on Sunday. So that's how I came into it. Just whānau, like where the whānau were going, we're all going. Sometimes it was a bit of a struggle to get there on the Sunday, but we got there on the Sunday. And then as the kids grew up, like kids on the buses, everybody's on the buses, like the full. The whole all the generations dynamic. So that's really how it started, just leading on, and because my Auntie Joey and Uncle Matthew were, and our wider whānau were really involved. But at that time, was for me, it was Auntie Joey and Uncle Matthew, and then when they sort of stepped back, then Muz and I sort of stepped up into that space. Yeah, that many years ago. Yeah, there was still tournaments. There was still local games that we used to have. And it started off like club on, tribe on tribe, but then it became tournament because it was more efficient, as we know now, to have like more full everybody at one venue. Starting off with the Manu White in Waitara predominantly, hosted by Te Atewa, and then ending with what we just called the finals. So that was the period of Māori rugby, really. Yeah, so and remembering it, like I do want to mention names. I don't want to forget anybody, but really strongly for me, a person was Auntie Dawn Taylor out there at Te Atewa. Really, really staunch to the kaupapa of Te Ateawatanga for Māori rugby, and also like I was looking at um, some history of some writings about how Māori rugby started. And so um, it was Te Ateawa, Ngāti Ranui and Taranaki tribal that were the initial ones in 1922, it said. And it was started to bring people together around 1918, but then stopped because of the pandemic, or the what we call pandemic, the epidemic, and the tale of World War One, and then picked up again 100 years ago with the Naere, Ngāruhine, Ngārauru, Manawapau and Pukeariki. So getting the 8 around the mountain. But yeah, that's really where I started from. And for Ngāruhine, there was Lordy and Lenny Ray, and when Ngāti Ruanui, right at the beginning, 20 years ago, I think we did the Constitution. And I looked at that recently. I think Spencer Carr was the secretary, Marty Davis was the chair, and I think Cousin Robinson was the treasurer, and Cousin's just recently passed. Max Soul was on that committee; they've recently passed. So all those, my two uncles, my Uncle John and Uncle Boyce Luke, those are my dad's brothers. Sitting around the table with them was fantastic, and then my Auntie Teresa, like the Uncle John and Auntie Teresa were real stalwarts for tikanga, maintaining the tikanga. Um, just real hearty, like real kaupapa. Yeah, so it's a privilege for me now when I reflect and say, wow, yeah, those were great times, great memories, and those were off the paddock, like around the committee table. Then you have the on the paddock stuff, especially when we were like Taranaki tribal and playing Te Ateawa, and the aunties, which we're all related to, on one side, especially Auntie Blanche, and then Auntie Joey on this side, coaching and mentoring our players, and our players will say, "Oh, the field got shrunk because the aunties were getting a bit encroaching onto the field on either side, and then the players sort of didn't want to pass out wide, that's for sure. But yeah, and then just all gather afterwards and just sarangata, like everything's left on the field as it is, but real, you know, not power wars, but hearty as, and then we come together after and just enjoy each other's company and just be whānau. So yeah, yeah,
It's
those were
really
those
good.
days.
Some of those memories you mentioned, and some of those people. Auntie Dawn Taylor, I remember I used to pick her up for the meetings. We'd go down to Hawera, and she was so lovely, Auntie Dawn, so passionate, and
Yeah, yeah.
Arson and Marty and all them. And but I suppose what's the key thing? I think Māori rugby, and there was all those key people in those times. But what was different about Māori rugby compared to like your normal kind of club rugby? What was it that kind of made it unique?
Uh, I think there's a couple of things. Like on the field, there's the don't kick it, run it. That flair, that you know, yeah, run pass. Knowing that your person's going to be right beside you. Knowing that, knowing that. I suppose I can't speak for the men players. I did have a few runs for, unfortunately for myself, but the women's team had players and then didn't have players when we arrived at the venue, sort of thing. And so, looking on the bus for people to fill in gaps. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just think that knowing that there was that support around you, like everybody's just in there, that's just not, the backs are going to run it, so we just sort of hang back because they do their thing and goes into a maul or a ruck, well then the forwards come out. So yeah, there was that part of it, but uniquely for us, I think the essence of Māori rugby is the taonga. The fact that, when people talk about the Ranfurly Shield and what's happening now with the Tasman Mako, but exactly that, like it just gives that extra lift, just that extra lift to try and um, and I don't think it's what I would call nowadays, your manners on the line. I don't think it was that. It was just the fact that, you know, the tino kaupapa of, of the taonga, their history, their legacy, their why. Because we held the parihaka, so the kuia, that was ours out at, that the base was from parihaka, of course, because Taranaki tribal was originally called ake ake. Ake ake, and then it moved to become parihaka, and then today Taranaki tribal, and that's sort of the kōrero from Uncle Tom Waiwari, Uncle Tera, yeah, um, Jackie and Charlie McAllister's koro, yeah, and so he talked a lot about that, but so we had the parihaka. And for the parihaka, there's rules on everything, So for the parihaka, it's at the start of the first tournament to the end, the finals, you could challenge and you had to write a letter, way back in those days, write a letter to the committee, and then for consideration with 2 dates, and the holder has to pick one of those dates or forfeit. Well, no one's going to just give it up, are they? So we actually had quite a bit of bureaucracy in our setup, which I suppose when you think about it, it's that making sure we can make things right before they become wrong, before it becomes like disputes or whatever. But yeah, so always the challenge is if we would hold it. I think from Uncle Tom's writings, like we lost it in 1973 or something, and then we got it back in the 90s, and he actually thought that we wouldn't get, like he wouldn't see it again. So we've got it now, but got her now, but and so you have to, so everybody would come up for that, like we'd have the home game if we held it, we would host it. It would be full club on club, like say if we were playing Ngāruahine, all of Manaia's and Rahotu, you know, all of the coasters of Rahotu, and it was. I think that's the uniqueness of these carved taonga, the stories behind them, the whānau that have donated them or gifted them a memory of as a memorial to their people that were involved. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those so not so much the Ranfurly Shields or the World Cups, but definitely up there. And that's similar to the Parking World. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think I might have mentioned it to you a few weeks back. I remember I was a young fella and I joined the committee there for a little bit, and I remember trying to bring in an idea. Let's have a big tournament instead of having these one-off games. I was keen to. I think Ngārauru held the taonga. I can't remember what taonga it was, but they were like, no. If you want that taonga, you have to come down and get it. That's the rules. I never forget that. It was a hard case.
I actually remember when so the last one, it was, well, I can't remember what year, but it was the year that Ngārauru hosted Taranaki Tūmai, and we had won the Rima Wakarua, and I was like, oh yeah, and they forgot to bring it to the game.
Wow.
I don't know, but anyway, and so so I was like, well, when are we going to get that taonga? When are we going to get? And so I teed up with Marty Davis because I was down there in Waverley, and I said, hey, can I come along? Can we? So yeah, okay then. So I went up to the pa, and then his lovely wahine Missy, karanga me in, and and went in there, and we put it in the car and covered her up, and we were off. But yeah, that's the one that we do still have sitting at, with us at the coast, and of course we'll take back for the exhibition in Pōheri, and yeah, and for Ngāroru to take home back. But I was sort of like, oh, I don't know if I should tell them come up, but yeah. Uh, but that is the heartiness of it, eh? Like, no, this is how we do it. Done it forever. This works, and then. As most things, it takes a little bit of processing and go, oh, actually, that's not a bad idea. And it was
Yeah,
the efficiencies too, eh? For
100%.
some clubs, you get, like either if a club didn't turn up, well, all the kai's already been prepped, and not that they wouldn't turn up, or if they turned up, the stories of, um, you know, Taranaki Tribal having two buses going to a game, and then where they get off the mainly supporters and kids. There was not a team on the bus,
Yeah,
but everybody presumed that people were on the other bus. So yeah, that's some of those things. But yeah, well, I think it just became efficient. That hosted all that. The cooks are cooking, prepping, going getting the water crisps and everything for one team. So why not get them for
that's,
for 18? So
yeah,
and it just brings everybody together to see each other. Really, it's that time, and then once winter was over, as we know, everybody goes back to their mahi, pretty much not seeing till there's another occasion. So
yeah.
yeah,
It's awesome, beautiful corridor on some of those old stories. I think the beautiful thing I love about Māori rugby is the element of two and the element of rongo. The element of two on the field for our
indeed,
whānau to, kind of, go hard,
yeah,
and then off the field, it's all about aroha and manaki and support, and that's the beautiful thing. So we have our 100th anniversary for Taranaki Māori Rugby Football Union just around the corner. What are
yeah.
some of the key details of the event and the occasion we can share with our whānau at home?
Well, the Saturday, as Tuka has previously said, the Saturday with the Pōheri, welcoming our taonga back because we see in our taonga, like I said before, our tupuna, you know, when we won won a game or brought a taonga home, they had the seat on the bus.
Yeah.
Never mind if someone else don't get a seat, but they have the seat on the bus. Or even if a car's going home, then they're going home on the car, to look after them. So that's happening in the morning. We're leading into our games during the day, and then the cabaret at night, dinner and cabaret. So, that's the Saturday, and then the Sunday, of course, that's Sport Taranaki, and then over to in the Sport Taranaki, like sort of that. Hui together, but also to welcome in the Manawatu, supporters, and quite rightly so. And then out onto the field for the Tuera Challenge, which would be great. And then later on the Bulls versus Manawatu game. So yeah, so a full weekend. And like I said, while we have that core committee, there are people that are helping wrapping around us, and you know, bringing their magic and what they do really well. And make things a bit easier, carry the load, which is great. But I just was reflecting also, Caps, that this isn't our first rodeo, if you like, because I think it was about 2000 we actually hosted Scotland. They played the Māori All Blacks. Yeah, and so we were with the TRFU and saying, oh yeah, no, we're in there, and we did totally partner. We got our kids in there. I think it was my niece Geordie Luke, and little young Clive Tungi Afiko, and they
Yeah,
did the anthem. You know,
yeah,
when I
cool.
see when I see some of the anthems that's being ruined now, I go, oh, we should have got our
Yeah,
kids in there. And again, it was like so natural for us to do that and put that tono out. And I suppose to the organisers, it was one less, lighten their load as well.
yeah.
And so we fully hosted. We had the Māori All Blacks training down at Rahoto, and all
Wow.
the kids coming down and seeing them getting off the bus, and
Yeah,
that was things like that. So we haven't, and then in the Rugby World Cup in 2011, we did the exhibition to again, you know, um, you know, add to the already activities that were happening around there. You know, there was the International Village down on the Pukeariki Landing. Our exhibition was up there at Pukeariki. Yeah, so we've been fortunate, you know, to have willing partners. We've also been fortunate that we've had, you know, the kaha to put it out there. It looks
Yeah,
massive. There's only a handful, but as everybody does it, like you do at the park. There's only a handful, but we're going to get stuff done. So, and hoping that, you know, it's everybody that comes gets, you know, like we'll draw on their memories. Something will sing for them and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Um, Still wanting photos, so trying to do like a rolling PowerPoint of all the photos that you know, that people can look through. They'll run through the day, especially on Saturday, and then of the exhibition, and then also the oh, so if people want to bring their photos of people that have passed of their whānau, they can bring those in on the pōwhiri on Saturday morning as well. So
cool.
yeah, trying to capture everything that we can capture, but also we know that without everybody's involvement, coming along, participating, playing in the games, being part of everything, that's all going to add to it. This is you know, just the door opening for everybody to come in and make it great. Yeah.
That's awesome. So exciting, so exciting. You brought back a memory there. I forgot I played that game. I was in that curtain raiser when New Zealand Māori come to town. I played for Taranaki Māori Cult back in the days. That was cool.
Hey?
So yeah, missed it straight away. Hey, that's what these kind of kaupapa do. They bring back
Yeah.
all the memories.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's awesome.
It
Well,
wasn't that long
whānau,
ago though, I kept.
hey?
Doesn't seem like that long ago though.
Nah. Still young, eh? Well, whānau, there we have it. All the information on the big celebration this weekend for the 100th anniversary Taranaki Māori Rugby Football Union. It's huge. 100 years is huge. So make sure to get along and tautoko what will be a special weekend. Leanne, thanks so much for your time today, for sharing your memories with us. It's been an absolute pleasure to kōrero, and we appreciate all that you do in the game and all that you do for our communities. Hope all the hard work comes to fruition over the weekend on what will be a momentous occasion. So ngā mihi nui ki a koe.
Ngā mihi nui ki a koe ki a tātou katoa. Kia ora tātou.